Hi, I'm Randy Patterson, author of How to Be Miserable in Your Twenties. And this is yet one more in the series called Isolated Moments of Sanity. Today, another step on the path to mental stability during periods of isolation or quarantine. And as always, there's a slogan or a mantra. This time it's, what would you do? When there's a lot to be done or life gets disrupted, we're faced with the constant question, what do I do now? What should I do about my job? Should I drop off toilet paper at my relative's house or not? How do you decide? One option is to do what most people do, whether they realize it or not. They ask, what do I feel like doing? And then they do that. But the problem with this strategy is it often leads us in the wrong direction. I feel like having another drink. I feel like pulling the covers over my head. I feel like checking the news for the 10th time today. I feel like, like just sludging out on the couch. Now, any of those might be fine. But the test is not whether you feel like it. It's whether afterwards you're glad you did it. And when we go along with our immediate temptations, we often feel regret, not satisfaction. When we're stressed, it often becomes even harder to make those kinds of decisions. So we need some other way to guide our actions and pull us away from our immediate impulses. It would help, for example, if you had a great example to follow, like Abraham Lincoln or Mr. Rogers, Nelson Mandela, Maya Angelou. A while back, people in the Christian community had plastic bracelets that they would wear. WWJD, what would Jesus do? If Jesus was in this situation, what would he do? Well, they got teased a bit for that, I think. But it's actually a pretty good idea. It pulls you out of yourself and lets you see the forest instead of the 10,000 trees that you're standing in front of. So maybe you're like me. You're not too theological. But what you can ask yourself is, imagine that my best self, the really capable person I wish I was more often, was in exactly this situation. What would he do? What would she do? What would I do if I was really living out my values and doing what I believe is important in this situation? Now, that sounds kind of stupid. What if I was in this situation? I am. It's inane. This shouldn't help. But it does. So what if you have no idea what your best self would be doing? Well, fine. Then pick somebody else, a good friend or some public figure that you admire. What would she be doing? What would he be doing? You don't have to slavishly go do the same thing, but it can give you some more perspective. It gives you one more option other than just following your impulses. Often this exercise of imagining yourself from afar or using another person as a model can help clarify our decisions. If I was being my best self, I would stop whining about all the workshops I had to cancel this spring and do something free over the internet instead. And here we are. If you catch yourself being stuck and indecisive, try it. What would you do? It may get you unstuck. So, what would you do? Oh, and stay home, wash your hands, and think seriously about buying my book.